Yeah, welcome to another episode of Arts Place Live Conservative Talk from a Different View. We've got a great show today, a lot to talk about. We've got the post election results, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yes, we've got a great show today, so sit right back and we'll tell you all about it. I mean, a lot of it is bad, but hey, don't lose hope because there's good news on the horizon. Even though if things don't go well in DC, we've got some other good news. And let's bring up my co host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hello, world. What a week this has been.
And we still don't know who the president is, even though Biden's trying to act like he won.
You know, I got a call yesterday all the way from Australia, and I was asked a very simple question. What role in the U.S. government does CNN hold? What is their position in the U.S. government? What are they, the official broadcasters of the U.S. government? Because they announced that Biden had won and all the other news agencies followed in behind.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to explain, and as our good friend Greg, I had to explain that they have no role in our government.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to be the first to make an ass of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's how I feel about this last week.
So what's going on? There are several very close races that they're still counting votes. There are lawsuits going on from both sides, the Trumps and the Bidens. They're fighting to either stop the voting or keep the voting. What votes count, what votes don't count. So we're going to be talking about that, and this is just my opinion. Is I think Biden is going to be the president, but here's the good news: we still have control of the Senate, even though there are 2 Senate races that are going into a runoff in January in Georgia. And from what I'm hearing, normally those races, the incumbent ends up winning because what they do over there is it's not by plurality, but by if nobody gets more than 50% of the votes. And you know what? I think that's the way it should go. It should go to a runoff election. That way you don't have...
The 2 highest winners, if they're less than 50%, goes into runoff. That's what it is here in Oklahoma, too.
Mm-hmm. And because with the runoff elections, then you keep the smaller parties from splitting the votes.
Yeah, siphoning off from the...
Then you end up with the candidate that wins with the majority of the votes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Rather than having somebody win with less than 50% and the majority didn't vote for that person. So, and I wish Colorado would do that, especially in the state house races, because we've in the past we've had a lot of state senate and house races where the Democrats won because a libertarian ran and the Democrat got less than 50% of the vote.
Yeah, I think they have to have 50.5% here in order to take, or otherwise it goes into runoff.
Right.
We usually have all of our you know, very seldom does it go into runoff here in the Oklahoma. But you know, I talked to you just a few minutes before. This is no way to run an election. That's my big. You know, I'm like you. I feel that at the end of the day, Biden's probably going to win. Not legally, not morally. I think it was done by pure chicanery. They stole the election, and they're putting into place right now things that are going to prevent it from having a fair and legal recount. For example, in Pennsylvania, I believe it is, they're taking all the mail-in ballots out of their postmarked sleeves and setting them aside and throwing away the envelopes to show whether they were there on time under the legality. And according, Samuel Alito said that no, those have to be secured, and the sheriff in Philadelphia refuses to enforce that ruling from Samuel Alito. And it, you know, this is just no way. We're running this like a friggin' third world.
Yeah.
You know, I saw this kind of crap back in the 70s when I was in the service and dealing with some of the, I was dealing with some of the Central American countries that were either had socialists coming in, or we were trying to keep we were supporting the government, trying to keep the socialists from coming in, or we were supporting the rebels to trying to get the socialists out. And, this is the way they ran the election in the 70s. This is the way that socialism has worked. This is how it happened in Venezuela. There is no reason. I've talked a lot with both Grant and Greg out of Australia, because I know quite a bit about how their election system works. Right. And they have the results tabulated and ready to go almost always by the end of the night. They may go into the next day if it's a really close race, but there's no question about recounts. They don't have to have that, because they have a reporting system and a voting system that works. And I think it's time, and I'm going to start Monday, and we'll be emailing and writing letters to my congressmen, to my senators, saying, let's get a damn voting system that works. Let's quit voting like we're Mexico or Venezuela or Brazil or some of these other countries. Yep. Or Iran, let's get Russia. Let's get a voting system that the American citizens deserve, not this joke we've got going on now. Keep the electoral college. That's fine. That's a good thing. But the way we vote, each state, there should be a federal election board. But those rules are tantamount and in place, and they are the only ones that should be used. We should get rid of states having to say, I'm talking about from voting for the guy that changes the toilet paper in the White House all the way up to the President of the United States. Yeah. Same damn type of ballot, same type of voting machine in all 50 states.
You
guys on the rampage. I'm pissed. I don't really care I really don't care how the election goes at this point, because I already know, Trump lost, but we've got to put in place an election system that all citizens have trust in. And right now, nobody trusts these elections. Yeah. They had the big honking of the horns and the, kumbaya stuff yesterday for Biden, when CNN, and that's another thing. Nobody can predict, because the way they do it in Australia, is all boards have to report their elections to the Federal Election Board, and then they release the numbers when they are tabulated. And no news agency gets it before anyone else. Nobody can predict. They can say, well, last election they voted like such and such. Let's see if that holds true this year. And then shut them up, because, once we got to have an election system that is far better than this crap we've had for the last 20 years. It's been going on since the friggin' hanging chads. I'm sick of it.
Well, you touched on a very good point about the Electoral College. Here in Colorado, sadly, we voted for the national popular vote. So, basically, our vote won't count anymore because outside money from California came in, pushed us, and was driving the ads on TV, radio, and elsewhere. And to me, I thought, oh, this thing is
Unconstitutional.
going to go down. And you know what? It passed 2-1.
See, this is the problem. We don't have a standardized federal election system. So states can do this crap. You know,
well,
if
that's the thing in the Constitution. It leaves up to the states how they could, do their elections. For example, Nebraska and Maine are the only two
With their-
states that aren't
their
winner
votes.
take all. It's
Yeah.
by plurality, by districts. So whoever wins in a certain district, that district goes for the president. So, for example, I think Trump got one electoral vote in
each one.
Nebraska, and I don't think he got any in Maine. Maybe one in
I
Maine.
thought he got one in Maine as well,
Okay.
but I may be
Because-
wrong. That might have been Tuesday. They were showing it Tuesday night.
Yeah.
They were showing or Wednesday morning. But since then, they've changed all the votes, and this is the problem. We need to have that's where I need to really start pushing. There needs to be an amendment that takes away the states' rights to control how their votes. There needs to be a standardized federal. It's real simple. They could do it without the amendment. Just say, we're not going to give matching funds to support your elections unless you come up and use the standard equipment that we
Right.
have. And
Well, here in Colorado, we do mail-in balloting, and our votes were known like right away. We knew about 20 minutes after the polls closed that Cory Gardner won. Where these other states, they're still counting the vote.
we
Yeah.
had a combination of both mail-in early and election day votes.
Absentee and yeah.
Yeah, all of that, the absentee and
and
the
what?
early. We had early votes as well. We had several days before, up till Friday, I think, before the election, they could vote early. But the whole thing is we still were able to tabulate our votes by that night. I mean, Oklahoma was decided right away. This is the first election that there were actually some blue precincts. We haven't had that in a few years. So, but they were around, like Oklahoma City and it's like Mike Roach. He's sick of Facebook and Google. I think we need to hold these kind of groups accountable for, we've got to have something better. All of our citizens deserve this. I feel betrayed anyways, having served and fought during the time of the Cold War, and we've elected somebody like Kamala Harris. 60 plus, 70 plus million people voted for a socialist. If we taught history, she'd have never stood a chance.
Mm-hmm.
If they taught
and
history.
that's true. But on the bright side, here in Colorado, Lauren Boebert won. The pistol packing mama from
Excellent.
Rifle, California, or Colorado. I mean,
Rifle, Colorado. Yeah.
yep. She
Excellent.
was
I'm
the
glad to
big
hear that.
bright spot in the election here in Colorado. Sadly, Casper Stockham got
Stomped.
stomped on. I think
Yeah.
it was like 65-35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, he's such a nice guy,
Yeah,
but
he is. But,
And I hate to hear
and
that.
Steve House lost by about the same margin against Jason Crow. But,
Well,
a lot. Here's the deal: a lot of people here in Colorado were they're all complaining about the people running the Republican Party, and they don't consider. You got to remember the last 10 years we've had people from other states moving here. The demographics have changed, and there's nothing the party could do about changing that. You could change the messaging all you want. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna change those people's minds.
Yeah, this is, I think, the most disheartening thing about this whole thing is, and I think I've still got my. Yeah, I'm not. I conceded. I've still got my thing up here says I'm presidential hopeful. I forgot to change that.
Okay.
I'll change that in a little bit, but
Well,
I
Lloyd, you
conceded.
were always conceited.
Yes, I've always been conceited, but I conceded with a D, not a T, Tuesday night on Above and Beyond Drones, and but it was the Republicans don't have the kind of message they need. They don't have the solidarity they need.
Yeah.
They don't have the grassroots type of they don't have a base. They don't have a strong base. We're very top heavy of these old guard Republicans, and we don't have a lot down here at the bottom. We're not doing a lot to educate the younger people. We're not doing a lot to present a message. Like I said, they had their big kumbaya moment yesterday after CNN, and then the rest of them followed suit, saying Biden was the declared winner, or projected winner. He's not been declared yet, And hello, Mason, and
hey, Mason,
welcome,
Rick,
Michael Blade.
Michael,
Michael, yeah, Rick. And our problem is we have a great message. I believe, yes, in Fox News as well. I'm so fed up with Fox News. I think they some of their early projections, they started projecting stuff because they wanted to be first. They didn't want to be. They wanted to hold back. They held back on. The good thing is, let's see, where was I going? All right, grassroots. We need to have our message more focused. We need to have a strong base. We need to rebuild. Part of the problem, part of the reason we lost this, in my opinion, was because of all those never Trumpers. They did not support the Republicans. They did not. They were bound and determined. And so for 4 years, Trump spent most of his time, even though he's enacting some good policies, but battling the Democrats and the never Trumpers. He did not get the support he should have got. And I said this 4 years ago, and I say it today. Whatever happens, it was our election to lose, and we lost it badly. We should not have lost, period. Even though it's a close race.
My opinion why Trump lost. I think it was how he presented himself during the COVID crisis.
Oh, yeah.
If he would have acted like he cared a little more, maybe that would have been lessened the brunt on the country. I think a lot, especially single moms and just women in general out in the suburbs. They just did not like Trump because the way he tweets, and they really didn't like the way he acted during this whole COVID thing. He acted like, oh, it's just a flu, it'll be gone by April, and I understand he's got to be upbeat to keep the country from going into full panic mode, but he should have, acted like, yeah, hey, take this seriously. We're working on it, and and we're doing everything we can to mitigate this. We're producing more ventilators. We're working on medications to mitigate the damage caused by the virus.
Yeah. Well, the virus was custom made for the Democrats. It's just that simple. Not that they made it, but it was the perfect storm for the Democrats. The other thing, like Mike says, what was he supposed to do? All right. Part of the problem and this is some of the problems he's had in the past. I think he did the best he could do with what he had.
Yeah.
I think actually he led well. You're right on that's probably the reason he lost, but that wasn't a reason for him to lose, for him to lose, because he was doing all he could. He was fighting the Democrats. Like the stimulus check. He should have had that thing out here a long time ago, but he couldn't do anything because of the Democrats wanting to throw in more pork at on that one.
That's right.
On that stimulus bill. But the people don't see that. I said this was our election to lose, and we lost it. Or we may have lost it. It looks like there's a possibility, even if we win it morally, which I think we did. We've still lost. We've lost a lot of our momentum going in here. At least we stopped the blue wave. I think the election was stolen. I think, once Pennsylvania did not segregate those mail-in votes like Judge Alito said they should have. Once they start throwing away the envelope, they're destroying the evidence as they go. And I keep going back to say we got to have a better system. I'm sorry, states aren't responsible enough to control federal elections. Into conversation. Let the states do what they want, but let's have a federal law that says you don't get matching funds for your elections unless we get this system in there.
Also, you got to take into account this year was very unusual because of COVID.
Right.
And I think that is the main problem, because this virus was so, it's a nasty flu. It spreads real easily.
Right.
And
it's deadly to a lot of people.
Especially the people who have what's called comorbidities, like health issues, like,
right.
Well, you have MS and you have lung issues.
Right.
Judy has Parkinson's and she survived cancer. I have lung issues, so I've got to be careful.
Yeah.
But and people that are older, people that are 80 and above, are very susceptible to. So this created a situation to where people didn't want to go to vote. So that's why we had mail-in voting in a lot of these states. They don't have the good track record that Colorado has with mail-in balloting. We've been doing it since 2013, and we've got a pretty darn good system here in Colorado.
Let me ask you this.
Had these other states have been doing what we're doing, they probably would have had a whole totally different outcome. If they would have just said, okay, we're not going to accept any ballots that have postmarks after this date. We got to have it to where all the ballots are in on election day. They come in after the election day. That's it. Sorry. The public knew when the election was.
Yeah.
All they had to do is drop it off in a ballot drop-off box. Then it would have counted that day. But a lot of these people,
let me ask you
chipper.
something. Let me ask you something. You keep talking about the mail-in ballots and how successful it is, but I remember 3 or 4 months ago when we were talking about this, you were pissed off about what they call ballot harvesting. Oh, hey, or let
Yep.
me help you fill. Okay, see, that's the problem with mail-in ballots,
Yeah,
because you can have that.
Yep, you're
See,
right.
that's something that Colorado doesn't have right. And
Oh, we have
if
ballot harvesting, and that's
right,
you're
that's
right.
wrong.
You're right, and
You're right.
But
I'm right. Colorado's system is not working either.
no, it's
because
not
of the harvesting.
But we have. It's a lot
I don't
better
want-
than what the other states are doing.
I don't want
but if we,
better-
And we do have laws saying you can't have more than 10 ballots per person. But
I don't think
what's
anybody
that
should
to
be
prevent-
harvesting.
Huh?
I don't think any. My ballot, I put it in the hands of or into the machine myself, or I put
Yep.
it into the box. If I can't do it, then I mail it in. It has to be postmarked by the U.S. Postal Service,
Yep.
not by Elmer Fudd's delivery van.
And
If
I
it's
agree.
not that way, it's an invalid. If Johnny Come Lately comes in with 16 ballots and say, "Hey, I'm collecting for our community because all the little old ladies can't get it," well, if they can't get out and vote, there's other ways to do it. And that's
Yep.
what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Our system is screwed up.
Yep.
Even though I
And-
realize, Colorado has been doing it longer, but you were the one who presented it to me
Yep.
about
You're right.
ballot harvesting.
Good.
And
point.
I'm keeping you on point here. You're either going to be
Okay.
pissed off about this system, or you're going to do something to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Colorado they have a good start on it, but they have a lot they need to fix. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Colorado wouldn't have gone straight blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You've got to fix all the problems. You can't say, "All right, we're doing better than everybody else." Just ignore the guy behind the curtain. Can't do that, Art. You're either in for any
good
penny, in for a
point,
pound.
and-
So I'm keeping you on point. I'm keeping you true to your word. You were raising hell about that 6 months ago,
Yeah.
3 months ago, and now it's like, oh, that's acceptable. No, it's not acceptable.
No, it's not.
It's illegal as
You
far
know
as I'm
what?
concerned.
You're right. You're
Nobody
right.
should
You're right.
handle my ballot but me, or the postman if I mail it in,
Right.
or the person in charge of the collections. And I think they should be required to wear a body cam to show what they're doing with them damn ballots when they go pick them up.
Hey, that's a good point.
We've
too.
got to have oversight on every level.
That's-
This won't happen again.
All right.
If I
So
keep it
now
going.
that we've talked about the bad, let's talk about the good. All right. We still have the Senate. So here, this is the thing that killed me about Pelosi yesterday. She's coming out saying Biden's got a mandate. I don't think so. You don't have control of the Senate, so that's not much of a mandate. And plus, Democrats lost over 20 seats in the House, so
Yes.
your majority is a lot smaller. So, what happened to that blue wave?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw by Thursday they're even, Nancy Pelosi's going to be lucky to keep her position as Speaker of the House,
Mm-hmm. Yep,
because there's a lot of Democrats are blaming her
Yep.
for going too far left. A lot of the moderate Democrats are blaming her for going too far left and causing the 18 plus seats to be lost.
Mm-hmm.
Last I saw, there's only 15, depending on who you look at and what states they give to who and when and where. But at one point, it was only 15 seats difference between the Republicans and the Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
You know?
that's not a big
Which means
margin there, so that brings it a lot
if-
closer. And
when
the
they
only
try to,
caveat is we still have 2 Senate races. It looks like they're going to a runoff election.
Yeah.
And so we've got a better than 50-50 chance of keeping those 2 seats. And then if we do, then we'll have a 2-seat majority in the Senate, which that'll really slow down a lot of really bad legislation moving along past the Senate to, hate to say this, President Biden.
Yeah. Here's what I'm looking at, because is it the House that enacts the 25th Amendment, or is it the Senate?
I think it is the House. I think.
Okay.
It's the Senate
right.
that picks the vice president.
Yeah. All right. That's right. So if the House tries to enact the 25th Amendment because, of senile Joe, I don't think I don't think the Republicans and some of the moderate Democrats are going to push for Kamala to be president. So he's probably,
Camilla?
if he's,
I thought that was the wife of Prince Charles.
Kamala, whatever the hell her name is. I don't give a shit what her name is, because I hope to never say her
I'm just holding your
name.
feet to the fire.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to. She's not. There's a difference in making sure that all votes are counted and pronouncing some bimbo's name right, and, they can say what they want about me. I really don't give a damn. But the point is I don't think the moderate Democrats are going to side in the House with the Republicans to have, we'll put up with a senile president for 4 years before we'll allow Camel Toe Harris to be president.
Oh, and it might not even be the 25th Amendment. They might go the impeachment route.
Yeah, well,
because
I don't think.
Well, because of his son Hunter's, they're
Right,
going to say,
yeah.
well,
They
we
may
gotta
do the
investigate
impeachment.
this laptop here. We gotta,
But
get if he gets impeached, it won't go through.
it won't go
the
through the
Senate.
Senate, because again, the Republicans are not going to let
Yeah.
that socialist
They're
bimbo.
going to defend Biden.
Yes, I see that happening. I've been thinking that. Yeah, Camilla. That's how. See, everybody calls her. Every time I go to say
Kamala,
Kamala,
which
I
means
think,
failure
like I said,
and finish.
yeah, probably.
Oh, and I want to say hello to Lloyd Bonafide 1. And also earlier we had Kelly Mershon. She's one of my friends from Facebook.
Well, I hope I have not insulted any of these people with some of my rants and raves, but you guys can tell I'm pretty pissed off. And I'm just frustrated. I'm tired. For 20 years, we've had an indecisive. There's Grant. Hey, mate.
Hey, Grant.
We've had indecisive elections for 20 years, and this is no way to run a country.
Yeah.
Because we spend the next 2 years, or the next, all the way up to January 20th in legal wranglings, and then the good thing is they're not going to, I think Biden's in it unless he just up and dies,
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. We should, as a country, be celebrating that we have a woman vice president, and we have a woman vice president who's a minority. That's something special that should be celebrated. Unfortunately, the piece of trash that is holding that office is not. We're celebrating. That's a socialist. We've turned our possible future over to socialism, and that's what really ticks me off. Let's see, if I didn't have people I want to stay in touch with on Facebook and YouTube, I would delete the damn accounts. I'm the same way. I've honestly thought about. This week. That's why I didn't do any videos this week. I just was so ready. Plus we've been dealing with some other stuff with Judy's health, and we've already had a black president, but now we got a woman vice president. That's never happened in our history. The problem is, you look at her and you kind of wonder, really, that's the best we could do,
Yeah.
you know?
Hey, but she slept her way to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. She knows how to wear those knee pads. Mhm. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go on to some other good news. The other good news
I'll try
are
not to
state
destroy your good news.
legislative races.
Oh, okay.
We've been doing very well there. New Hampshire, for the first time in many years, has a Republican majority in both houses in New Hampshire. And plus, get this, they'll have control over the redistricting and reapportionment in their state.
I'm going to show that because I just think it's funny what Mason put up.
Oh, it'll come up soon. Here.
Will she be under Biden's?
Oh. That's the wrong kind of heroin, Mike. You wanted. One is a female and the other one is a drug.
Oh, well, I think he means the drug. The drug.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Well, sometimes autocorrect screws you up. You get close and like, oh, it's not misspelled. It's like, you know.
Oh, and also
They need it in that state.
Where is it? Minnesota? No, Wisconsin now has a Republican House and Senate.
Yeah.
So that's good news. So a lot of states, the legislatures have flipped from Democrat control to now Republican control. Sadly, here in Colorado, I think we won one Senate seat, but we're still in the minority here in Colorado.
Well, Oklahoma, all of us straight, white, fat, old Christian bigots have been put in our place. We have now had our eyes opened. We were blind, but we can see. We now have in Oklahoma City a Muslim non-binary representative.
Oh boy!
I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm just going to call it Representative
Oh
Ed.
well, that person's going to have a lot of fun in Iran.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. You know, Muslims are anti-gay, and yet this person is DNA. I would suspect if they check the DNA, it's a woman. You know, or
Well,
I'm not sure if
here
it's an
in
ugly woman or an
Colorado,
ugly
we
man.
have a state rep. She is a tranny. Earlier, I think in 2005, her name was Brian, living in New York, and
Well-
she moved here. And hey, let's run for the state house.
Yeah, well, I was just blown
and
away.
then
A
Colorado
non-binary.
also elected its first Muslim to state house. So now we have an Islamist in the state house.
Where at in Colorado?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
from
Hey,
the district I ran in back in 2012.
unfortunately, your run for that seat fell just a little short.
Hey, who you calling?
I'm sorry. You know, the only thing I can see going into the next 4 years is, as the grumpy vlogger, I got a crap load of material coming my
Oh
way.
yeah.
Oh my God. You know, and yeah, I think the houses across the state legislatures, we've had some really positive things, and it's
Yeah.
going to help us in redistricting and stuff like that.
It's going to help with
And,
redistricting, and it's going to infuse new blood into the races coming up in the federal races, such as Congress and Senate and so forth. So I
Yeah,
think that's going to help us, down the road. So not all is lost. So we can't act like, oh God. Now, we'd be in a real world of hurt if we had lost the Senate. We would have lost the Senate. Then you would have seen court packing in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Supreme Court. You would have added. They would have added one, maybe two more states to the union. Those would be D.C. and Puerto Rico, and possibly Guam.
Oh, what the hell? Why don't we just go ahead?
Huh?
What the hell? What the hell? Why don't we just go ahead? I'm getting feedback here on something. Hang on.
I think it's those voices in your head, Lloyd. Even I hear them.
I don't know what's going on here.
I think it's the Democrats that are listening to us. They're trying to mess with us, Lloyd. It's Biden listening in. That's what Mike Roach says. And Rick hears it too.
Wow. I'm getting feedback through my sound thing. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I hear it too. Wow, that is weird. So you get that. I'll bump you out for a second here, and then I'll mute you, okay? Alrighty, so while that's going on, right now I feel more sad than angry or mad because, when Obama got elected, I was like in a real bad way, like you guys are now. I thought, all is lost. We're screwed, man. Game over. Game over. I feel like the guy in Aliens 2 when they found out that there are aliens all over the place. So game over, man. Game over. And that's how I felt. And this was when my mom was still around, and she said, knock it off, get off the ceiling, get back down and deal with it, It's going to be rough for a little while, and then things will get better. And the first 2 years, it was rough. It was really crappy because that's how Obamacare got rammed through, because they had control of the House and the Senate, and they were able to ram a lot of really bad legislation through. So I'm not in that kind of despair now, because I think we have, I'm pretty sure we'll have control of the Senate, and that'll slow down a lot of really bad stuff coming through. And plus, with the Democrats holding a razor thin line in the House, they won't be passing a lot of really bad stuff. So let's bring back my co-host, Lloyd.
You are not going to believe what the hell that was.
What was that?
I shut off my iPad that I use for my sound effects because that's where it sounded like it's come from. I checked my speakers and moved them around. I thought maybe it was slightly. Sometimes I have a plug on the front that I can plug my headsets into. Sometimes they come slightly unplugged and it plays through the. Wasn't that? I kept hearing it over on this side of me. I looked around. Finally, I kept looking and looking and looking. Then I thought, what the hell? My phone was in my pocket. It started playing the show.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah. See, still on the show, and I shut everything down. I'm like, what the hell? I even unplugged the it was in my pocket. Jesus, yeah. Uh,
Well,
and I was
and
really
plus with
doing.
the house being such a razor thin margin, I think whoever is going to be the speaker is going to really hold on to those radicals like the squad, with the
Right.
AOC and Talib and Omar. They're going to hold those people in check. They're not going to let
They're not
them
going to let them run around
run
and run their
roughshod over.
mouths. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Pelosi's in the position she's in, is because, and the moderate Democrats have already come out. They're out for blood, because it was because of her and those four crazy women, or three crazy women.
Mm-hmm.
They that's the reason they lost so many seats.
Yep.
And then I think it was it AOC that came out and said, one of the congresswomen who had lost their position was
Yeah,
talking
she was
on.
too moderate.
Yeah, well, she was on a talk show with somebody, and AOC comes out and says, I don't want to have a loser representing us up there on the news. I don't want to listen to losers talk. And it's like, somebody stick a fork in her. She's done.
Yeah. Well, and have you noticed how Schumer is starting to act a little more liberal, because he may be challenged by AOC in a couple years.
Yeah.
So he's
exactly.
worried he might get beat by AOC. So, and
Yeah.
also another good news is we may get a defector from the Democrats. It may be Mark Warner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may switch sides
Who
and
was-
become.
Who's
a
the guy
Republican.
from Georgia? Black gentleman, a congressman. He was actually. I saw him yesterday. He was in a news conference, and he was talking about how he knew that he basically exposed the Democrats for stealing votes in Georgia.
Right.
And he's a Democrat.
Yeah, I wasn't he the one that spoke at the RNC convention?
He might have been. Yeah. I have an idea.
so
He's
he may
switching parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Chris Hope.
also, in 2 years we've got the midterm elections, and what usually happens during those midterms?
A complete turnaround.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So we may.
I'm with Mike Roche, where he says he doesn't care if somehow Trump ends up winning, and let them burn down those liberal cities. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Let them have what they want. I saw, is it Chad Prather? Have you ever watched him?
Yeah, he was on
saying,
tour with my friend Steve McGrew about 3-4 years ago.
Okay, well, he's on Blaze TV as well.
Right.
And I was laughing. He says, these, I want to kind of paraphrase him. He says, these dumb, ignorant people that voted in Biden and voted in this socialism, he says, they don't realize it ain't going to affect me. I'm already rich, so I'm already at the top. They think these new taxes will affect the rich. It's not going to hurt us. It's going to hurt you people that voted them in.
Yep.
Me, I'm going to get more free stuff, and I'm going to live off of it. I'm going to live like a king now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right, because
rich people,
Biden's
it's not affecting them.
Not going to be able to repeal the the Trump tax cuts.
Yeah,
because we still control the Senate.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So remember when he was in the debates promising he was going to repeal the Trump tax cuts?
The tuts.
And saying, and then he paraphrased it. Anybody over, it's only going to affect people over $400,000. And, that's still a big chunk of taxpayers out there, because
there's a lot of people.
That's still the middle class right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when the middle class. Yeah, the little class. The middle class.
Are you talking about me again?
No, I'm not making short jokes again. Sorry, I I have been so politically incorrect this week. I mean, I'm just everything has set me off this week. I'm just like, oh, I was glad we were doing this show today because, well, one, I just shut everything off, and like I told you before the show,
Yeah, I did too.
I watched I watched this new cartoon because I want to get away from politics, and they showed they showed the city councilor of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Ray, the new superhero, called the Ray, I call him Gay Ray because he's a gay guy, and it showed that this big old fat white guy looks like me. That's what I was offended by too. He looks similar to me. And he's a racist, a bigot, anti-gay, and all of this stuff. And they represented this from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa is probably the least racist. You know, we settled a lot of our race issues back in the 1920s when we had the race riots and the shame that was brought upon. Yes, they
And
do.
by the way, Tulsa spelled backwards is a slut.
That's true. But they're all on 11th Street. But anyways.
And only you would know, Lloyd.
No, anybody who's ever lived around Tulsa knows where they're at because it's been a well-advertised thing. You know, it's an occupation older than time and a joke older than time. But anyway, so they have the gay superhero that portrays
Gay
Tulsa.
super.
And when he's not being a superhero, he belongs to the Equal Opportunity Housing Authority, you know. So he's protecting the little people, and this guy shuts it down. He ends up blackmailing the guy as the superhero. He comes to him and says, I could beat the hell out of you, but I'm not going to. So the guy says, oh, well, we'll make it fair for everybody. Oh, plus the guy was a Christian. The Tulsa guy, he was a Christian. So he attacked everything that I stand for. And then we turn around the next day and I find out we've got this non-binary, whatever the hell that is. And if that's not bad enough, friggin' James Bond is a black woman. What the hell is wrong with this world? Makes no sense to me anymore.
James Bond goes, snap. Hello,
yes, exactly.
I'm James Bond, 007. What you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What the hell is going on with this world? And then Biden's going to be our president? Oh my God, can it get any worse? Jesus.
Yeah, we've got Black James Bond, and then we got Dr. Evil in the White House. He's going to say, oh, can we have, I want sharks with lasers on their heads.
That's Michael.
Come here, Camilla.
Yeah.
I want you to test out the lasers on the sharks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Camilla's like Dr. Evil's secretary / girlfriend.
Yeah, what Michael Blade brings up is the new Bond going to be a lesbian? What about all the hot chicks that Bond loves?
Mm-hmm.
At least COVID chose Trump over Biden. Biden couldn't get exposed to it because he was hiding in his basement, Yeah. I've completely derailed this show. I apologize.
Lloyd, this show was derailed from the start today.
Yeah, I came in here with it derailed. I start my whole attitude. I almost texted and said, man, I don't know if I should be on there right now. I am so,
Oh, I like what Mike says. Dora the illegal
alien explorer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely the grumpy vlogger this week, and this is why I recorded a video the other day, and I was going to post it, but even I realized it was too much for YouTube. It was I was on a tirade, and sad to say, well, part of the reason I didn't post is because I'd have to bleep out about half of it because I was the F bomb went off a lot on that one because it's right after I heard that James Bond was going to be a woman, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I turned on the because I thought, well, I need to
Was
address
that paper
this.
straw?
Yeah, it was a paper straw.
Yeah, we can't have plastic.
Yeah, plastic
anymore.
straws.
Oh,
No,
boy.
you know
We
that's
might
the whole
kill some
thing.
whales with that.
These damn plastic straws came out because the paper straws were destroying the trees. You know.
Mhm.
How about this? Let's just not use straws. Drink a cup. You know, pick
Yeah.
it up and
Let's get a
do it.
sippy cup.
They've got those too, but they're made out of plastic, and that might hurt some whales.
Yep.
You know.
So all is not lost. Let's not
Give me
get
the good
into
news.
a coma. Don't get all, kerfuffled. I mean, yeah, it looks like shit, but, we'll get through it. I mean, hell, we got through 8 years of Obama. Now we're getting Obama light right now. So,
Well, and that's been my attitude. You know, discounting Camel Toe Harris. I'm not worried about what she can do because, you know, it's that in itself. If she becomes the first woman president, Hillary's going to take her out because she's going to be
Yeah.
pissed. Because Hillary should have been the first woman president, you know, and Camel Toe's days are numbered if they get rid of Biden, because Hillary, even if she says, "Oh, I'm going to pick Hillary as my vice president," and that gets there again, that would be a death sentence to Camilla.
yeah, because she'll need a taste tester.
Yeah, exactly,
Biden
exactly.
will need a taste tester now.
Yeah, Mike, you're right. Mike Roach, you're right. It's the puppet masters behind it all, the George Soroses, and this has been planned out over the last 40 years. This
Yep.
stuff started happening. And if that's not if all this other news wasn't bad enough, now the Pope says, the head of the Catholic Church says, "Oh, gay civil marriages.
Oh,
Domino,
that's good.
me, I play dominoes better than you play dominoes. Let's bless them." Really?
No. What is that? Spectacle testicles.
Yeah. I just always say I
Because-
play dominoes better than you play dominoes. And I
I
am
used
Catholic.
to do
you know.
that on Mitch's show when they bring me on with that holy music, and I would
Yeah,
do this, and they'd say, "No, you're doing it backwards."
Yeah. No,
I would-
it's
so,
it goes from left and across to right.
left. Okay.
Unless you're Episcopalian, you go top to bottom, you go right to left, because the Episcopalians do it backwards.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I converted to Catholicism, and but I'm like you. The Pope is a South American socialist. I don't recognize him as the Pope of the Catholic
Yeah.
Church because Benedict is still alive, and I feel that Francis is a usurper, and he's doing. The good thing is he didn't issue this from the See of Peter. In other words, he in the St. Peter's throne. So it's not an infallible. If he issues this statement from the See of Peter, that's considered infallible, and that can't be taken back.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you ought to convert to Orthodox, because then because they're an offshoot of the Catholic
they're actually-
Church.
Well, they're actually, yeah, the Orthodox are the ones who remained when they had the Great Divide between. It's when they had to move from
To
Rome
Constantinople.
to Constantinople.
Yep.
And when they
was the
decided to move back,
Eastern Orthodox, yeah.
yeah, when they decided to move back, that's when they had the Great Divide.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, that's the Greeks they're Orthodox, and so are the
Right.
Russians and the Ukrainians
Russians.
and Belarus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although Poland is Roman Catholic,
Yeah.
and southern Germany is mostly Roman Catholic, and so is
Roman Catholic.
Austria. That's why
Yeah.
Austria was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, because they were Catholic. Because the German Empire, they wanted to be a Christian Protestant nation.
Yeah, they want
were
they're
mostly
because Martin
Lutheran.
Luther was from that
Yep.
area, from Germany.
Yep.
Germany. No.
Yep.
And Martin Luther never intended to leave the Catholic Church. He just wanted the crookedness to be thrown away with. And of course, everybody who followed him, he ended up they started Lutheranism,
Yep, and Mike is right about that.
Yes.
They're sensible because they had a guy who's probably going to be a saint, John Paul II.
He already is.
Oh, he is a saint now?
Oh, yeah. He's been a saint
Oh,
now for
okay.
about 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that shows you
They
how far
fast-tracked
behind the
him.
times I am.
They fast tracked him. He's
Oh.
he's probably the fastest saint there. He got his sainthood 3 to 5 because I've actually got a silver coin that was when he was in St. Louis, Missouri. We had friends. Judy and I couldn't make it to go up there, but she went up there and she bought us the silver coin, and it has been blessed by John Paul II. And so I can say I now have a coin that was blessed by a saint.
Oh, wonderful.
And he personally blessed it, and it was, it through the whole, used the thing to bless with holy water, and holy water hit this coin that she had, and she gave it to us.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's been blessed by a saint. So, even if you're just the average everyday Christian, you can't, whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Mormons and Seventh-day Adventists are a little bit further over there than what I like to be. But you're either belonging to the high churches, which is your Presbyterians, your Lutherans, your Episcopalians, Anglicans, and Catholics. Those are your
you can't
Methodists.
Forget Calvinists.
Well, Presbyterians are part of the Calvinist movement.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to remember I'm a minister. I studied church history.
Okay. Well, wasn't Calvinism about they split off because they believed that free will was the way, and where the Catholics thought that no, it's divine power that determines what you do.
Yeah. Mainly, the whole reason all that happened is
welcome to Art's Place and Theology 101.
Yeah, the main reason. Yeah, with luck I do. I don't know if I can bribe him with that coin or not, Mason. But the main reason is because a lot of the princes, not the princesses, but the princes or the royalty of Europe didn't like being under the authority of the Holy Roman Empire and of the Pope. So they found these anything from everywhere from the Huguenots, the Calvinists, the different groups, and they helped. That was all. The Reformation was really more political than it was theological. As a matter of fact, it was almost all political. That's the reason the Anglican Church was started. The Episcopalians here in the United States is because Henry needed a divorce.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Pope wouldn't. Henry never intended to leave the church, but when he became the head of the Anglican Church, is because he had been kicked out of the Catholic Church because he wanted the divorce, and the only way he could get it was to get the Archbishop of Canterbury to grant it to him. And of course, he had to. The only way he could do that because the Archbishop wasn't going to go against the Pope, so he had to, okay, we'll just make me head of the church. Of course, when he asked for it, they excommunicated him from the Catholic Church, and he turned around and started his own church, and that's why, and the same with, Luther was fed up with the Pope at the time because he was granting the Pope at the time, and I can't remember which one he is now, but he was needing money to help build the big cathedral there in Rome, Saint Peter's Basilica.
Oh.
He needed money. So what he did is say, hey, you're not looking too good for heaven. Give me an extra 25 lira. I'll give you a dispensation. I'll write it up here and sign it and give it to you, and you're going to get in. But I got to have another 25 lira from you.
Mm-hmm.
He was selling tickets to heaven, in a giant raffle, and that's why Luther decided to. Those were the 97 theses that he nailed up on the church door, and
that's
which
right.
became the tenets for the Lutheran Church. I was originally raised Lutheran. I've got such a wide variety of religions. I've covered them all. Right now, I'm just a lapsed Catholic, independent. Minded, sort of like my politics, Indian Republican.
Well, I was a Buddhist for a while.
That's something I haven't been.
Yeah, that's interesting, and
Yeah.
they believe in evoking the energies and positive vibes that surrounds the world. And I go,
My sister who passed away was sort of like that.
I believe in that there's always a balance in nature. When you're going through some really bad crap, there's going to be some good stuff coming your way that balances out that,
Yeah, and that's
because I always think about some of this crap that's happened to me, and then something really great happened to me. And it just kind of balances things out for me.
Yeah.
All right,
we've covered a lot today, Art.
We did a little over an hour, and I want to thank you again for co-hosting this show and doing these.
Thanks for putting up with me, Art.
Post-mortem of the 2020 election. So don't despair, everybody. Just keep on fighting, and sometimes you might not do well in your state, but focus on other places, and eventually, hopefully, your state will turn around, and then you could finally come back to devoting time to that and get that going. So just keep plugging along, and things will always work out. So everybody have a great Sunday. God bless you guys.
Absolutely.
And we'll catch you all next time. And Lloyd, what did you say?
Be kind. Treat each other better than you would treat yourselves. All lives matters, including the unborn, and God bless the USA. I'm the Grumpy Vlogger. I'm out of here.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.